Hello everyone, welcome to FOC class 11 and 12. In this video, we will cover part 3 of Unit 3 Fundamentals of Java Programming for class 12 Information Technology IT Code 802. If you want to purchase class 12 IT Code 802 sample paper book, the links are given in the description. The structure of for statement. First of all, we will write the keyword for, and in the round bracket we have to write this. What is this? This is basically the part of the loop, and these are basically three parts. Let us discuss about them. The semicolon separates the three parts of a for loop. As you can see here, we have used two semicolon to separate the three parts of the loop. What are they? First is initial value. The initial value initializes the value of the loop counter. As its name is suggesting, it will initialize the initial value. So basically it initializes the value of what? Value of the loop counter. Basically this value, which we call as counter, so its value is initialized by the initial value in the first step. Then in the second step, there is test condition. We have already studied about test condition, that it is evaluated, and on the basis of the evaluation we execute or we do not execute the body of the loop. So here also the same thing happens. The test condition tests whether the loop should be executed again. The loop is exited when the test condition fails. So if the test condition is true and it evaluates to be true, then the loop is executed again, whereas if it is false, then the loop is exited. Then the third step is change counter. As we discussed here, that counter is the value of the loop that we are using in the loop. So to change its value, to continue to the loop, or we can say not to exit the loop, we have to keep it continue, and that too by incrementing or decrementing or changing the value. So how do we do this? Basically we update the counter, and the third step, that is change counter, is used to update the counter in each loop iteration. We already read about iteration in our previous videos, that a single pass through the loop is called iteration. So when it is passing for first time, then the value will be changed. When it is passing for the second time, then its value will be changed. So this step of changing the value of the counter, this will be done by the third step. Now here again we have taken the same example of writing a program to print the squares of numbers from 1 to 5. The difference is that we have written this program using the for statement, so that this statement is clear to you and you understand the difference also. Here the first three statements are same, which we have been reading. Here we have made a separate class. To understand this example, we have made a separate class for demo, and here is the main coding. Let us discuss about the main coding in more detail. First of all, let us know how do we read this statement or this loop. So in English we read the loop above as for number is equal to 1. Here you can see we have taken the variable as number, and we have also initialized it, means its value is 1. Then semicolon, number is less than or equal to 5. Here you can see we have written using the relational operator. So here we are giving the same in the English language, that number is less than or equal to 5. After semicolon, there is the change counter step, which changes the value of the counter. So here the counter is number, so number's value will be changed. So that is why we have used plus plus number. So what will it do? Execute the body of the loop, increment number, loop back to the test condition. So basically after testing the test condition that whether the number is less than or equal to 5, it will execute the body of the loop, then it will increment the number, and then it will get back to the test condition. So this is how we read the loop, and this is how the loop works. Let us understand it in more detail. When the loop begins, the variable number is set to 1. As I already told, we have initialized the value as 1. Then the test condition tests whether the loop variable number less than or equal to 5. If it is, then the body of the loop is executed. That is, the square of 1 is printed. So basically what is here is that the test condition is being evaluated, means we are evaluating the test condition, that whether it is true or whether it is false. So here what is the test condition? It is number less than or equal to 5, means it will be checked whether the given number is less than or equal to 5 or greater than 5. So if in the case it is less than or equal to 5, then the body of the loop is executed. And what will be the body of the loop for first step? It will be square of 1 is equal to 1. So this will be the body of the loop, and it will be executed because the test condition is evaluating to be true. The step then increments count by 1. As I told you that after testing the condition and executing, after these steps, the change counter step takes place, means the value of the counter is changed. So here for changing the value, we have used this statement plus plus number. What will it do? It will increment the count by 1. Here we have the test condition is tested again to decide whether to execute the body. If it is less than 5, the square of the variable number is printed. Now when we finish the first iteration, after that what happens? The loop goes back to the second step. And what was the second step? It was the test condition. So the test condition is evaluated again, and if it is again true, then the body of the loop, that is the square of the variable number, is printed again. And so we can say that the body of the loop is executed again when the test condition evaluates to be true once more. When number exceeds 5, the loop is exited. Now, there will come a time when the number will exceed 5, because here when we will increment number by 1, then 1 plus 1 2, 2 plus 1 3, 3 plus 1 4, 4 plus 1 5. Till here the number was equal to 5, but after that 5 plus 1, that is 6. It will be exceeding 5. So in that case, because the test condition is not true, so the loop will be exited. And when the loop exits, no statement will be printed afterwards. Now, what will be the output of this program? Let us see. The output from the program is the squares of numbers from 1 to 5. You can see here, we wanted to print the squares of numbers from 1 to 5, and we have printed here using the for statement. I hope you understood it. Now, a very important term, incrementing loop. As you can see here, we have written plus plus number in the change counter part, because here we want to increment the value of the counter. But what if we want to decrement the value of the counter? Will it be a different thing? Yes, it will be a different thing, because here in this case, when we are using plus plus number, then this loop will be called as an incrementing loop. Why? Because it counts up the loop index, because here we have initialized the value as 1. So it will continuously increase the value of the number 1 till 5, or till the condition becomes false. Until that, the condition will be repeated again and again, and as a result we can say that this is an incrementing loop, because 1 then 2 then 3, so in this way the values are increasing, and we can call it an incrementing loop. Now, we may also want a decrementing loop, means we may also want to count down in a loop. So for this purpose, we use the decrementing loop. We have used an example here. The above statement like package statement, public class statement, all those statements are same for these loops. So we are not displaying them. We are just seeing the main coding that we need to understand. So here in this part, what is the difference? The body of the loop is same. That is the statements which are going to be executed. These are same. What is different is this expression after for. So what is different? Let us discuss. Here we have initialized the number as 5 and not 1, and the test condition is number greater than or equal to 1, and after that the change counter step consists of the statement number is equal to number minus 1. So this is what will happen after the execution, and these are the initialization values and this is the test condition. So here basically we have initialized the number and then we have provided the test condition. So what will happen that first of all the test condition will be tested on the initialized value, means it will be tested whether 5 greater than or equal to 1 or less than 1. Since 5 is greater than or equal to 1, so the statements are printed, and then after this step number is equal to number minus 1, this step takes place. So 5 is equal to 5 minus 1, that is 4. 4 is also greater than 1, so this condition again becomes true and the statements are again printed. This continues till the number becomes 1, but as soon as it becomes 1, after that 1 is equal to 1 minus 1, that is 0, and 0 is less than 1, not equal to or not greater than 1. 0 is less than 1. So it means that the test condition is now false. It has evaluated to be false. So now what we are going to do? We are going to exit the loop. This is how this loop will work. Let us see its output. Here is the output. As I said, till 1 it will continue. The loop will continue, and after 1 it will exit. Why? Because 0 is less than 1 and it fails the test condition. Also you can see this is a decrementing loop. How? Because the values are decrementing here continuously by 1. The loop index can be incremented or decremented by any value, not just 1. Means since now we were only taking plus plus number or number is equal to number minus 1, like these we were taking. But it is not always necessary that we are incrementing or decrementing the value only by 1. It is not compulsory. We can use any value to increment or decrement. Means we can also increment or decrement by 2 or any other value. So here this code that you are seeing on the screen, the following loop increments the loop index by 2. It displays all odd numbers between 1 and 20. So all the odd numbers will be displayed using this loop. First of all, let us see the loop. Here the condition or the expression provided after the for statement is int count equal 1. So we have initialized the value as 1. Then count less than or equal to 20. Here the count is less than or equal to 20. This is the test condition. And after that the third part, count is equal to count plus 2. This is the change counter part. Means till the condition becomes false, this loop will continue, and when it will become false, when the condition count less than or equal to will be failed. So let us see its output. As we said, all the odd numbers between 1 and 20 will be printed. So you can see all the odd numbers between 1 and 20 are printed. That means we have written the right coding. 1, 3, 5, 7, 19, 11, 13, 15, 17, 19. All these numbers are odd numbers between 1 and 20. Another important thing is the loop index can begin with any value, not necessarily 1. As we just took the previous example, in that example also we had not initialized the value as 1. We used it for various purposes, and this is what we should follow. The following loop also iterates 5 times and prints number from 5 to 9. So this loop, it is basically used for iteration 5 times, means it will go through the loop 5 times. And what will it do? It will print the numbers from 5 to 9. It is indicating the example that loop index can begin with any value, 5 also, and it is not necessary that it will begin only with 1. So it is not necessary. The counter in the loop iterates with the count values 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 for a total of 5 times. Since here the condition is count less than 10, means we want the number to be less than 10, not even equal to 10. So for this purpose, we have taken 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 because the initialization value is 5. So we have to start from 5, and till the condition is satisfied, we will continue the loop to that value. After that, in the third part, the counter changing value is given count plus plus, means it is an incrementing loop because we want to print the numbers from 5 to 9. Let us see its result. So this is the result. We have printed the numbers from 5 to 9 in next to next line, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So this was the output of the coding that we have just seen. Now, if suppose here the test condition was count less than or equal to 10, as I just told you that here it is only written less than and not less than or equal to. So, if it was written here count less than or equal to 10, then the loop would have iterated 6 times for loop index count as 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, because here we have written equal to. So the test condition is different, that is count less than 10 and count less than or equal to 10. Both of these are different things, and if this count less than equal to 10 is placed here in the place of count less than 10, then what will happen? The loop would iterate or would pass through 6 times. So this is the coding for our program that we just discussed. As you can see here, the output is 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 is also here because here we have provided the condition greater than or equal to 10. So it will not stop at 9 only, it will continue till 10, and after 10 the condition becomes false. So after 10 the loop exits. So this is how this loop works. Now let us discuss about some of the style tips of the for loop. First is, if there is only one statement in the body of the loop, the set of curly braces enclosing the body can be omitted. As we also discussed this style tip in our previous loops and statements also, that if there is only one statement in the body of the loop, then we can optionally use the set of curly braces, means we can either use or we can not use. It's up to us because it is not necessary to provide the set of curly braces when you are having only one statement in the body of the loop. Here is example. We have taken the for loop, and here you can see after the expression of 4 we have not provided those curly braces for the block of code, because here only one statement is there in the body of the loop, so we do not need to provide the set of curly braces. Then is you can use multiple items in the initialization and the updation part of the loop by separating them with the comma operator. As I just told in the beginning of the for loop that there are three parts of the for loop. First of all, we initialize, then we provide the test condition, and after that we provide the updation part. So here it is being told that you can also use multiple items in the initialization and the updation part of the loop. How? We have to separate them by comma operator. Till now, we were separating these three parts by semicolon. As we just discussed, that these semicolons are used to separate these three values. But if we want to use multiple items in one value, like in initialization, we want to use multiple values. So in that case, we can use the comma operator to separate them, and then by using semicolon, we can separate the test condition and the initialization. And after that, we will again put the semicolon and we will write the updation part. We also want multiple items in updation part. So here we have used comma operator again. Also, you can see here we have omitted the curly braces because here also the block of code or the body of the loop has only one statement. Next is using indentation to align the body of the loop will make it easier for you to debug your code. As we also discussed this style tip in previous loops, that if we are going to use the indentation, then it will align the body of the loop. And what will it do? It will make us easier to read it, to understand it, and majorly to debug it. Because if your code has some error, then it will be clearly seen if you are using the right indentation. So for this purpose, we use indentation and it helps us to align the body of the loop. Now let us discuss about the common coding errors of the for loop. Let us discuss about the first error. Initial value is greater than the limit value and the loop increment is positive. Basically, both of these conditions are not possible simultaneously, because if the initial value is greater than the limit value, then the loop increment cannot be positive. Let me explain this through the example. Here we have taken this example where we have committed an error, and the error is that this initial value, that is 5, it is greater than the limit value. What is the limit value? It is less than or equal to 1. Now you can see 5 is always greater than 1. It is never less than or equal to 1. So here the test condition will be false. But the problem is that the loop increment is positive. So after testing this condition, the loop will increment, means it will increment the value, but it will still be false. And it will always be false because the value which we will get, like 5 plus 1 is equal to 6, 6 plus 1 is equal to 7, all these values will be greater than 1 and not less than or equal to 1. So in this case, body of the loop will never be executed, and this is the error that we have committed here. Our second error is initial value is lesser than the limit value and the loop increment is negative. Now this error is just the opposite of the first error. How? Let us see. Here we have initialized the value as 1, and in the test condition we have provided count greater than or equal to 5. And here we, in the updation part, we have given the decrement, means count minus minus. So it will also never execute. Why? Because when it tests for 1, then it is always smaller than 5, so it is false. But when it goes with 1 minus minus, means it will decrement the value of 1 by 1, means it will become 0. And like this, the number will keep on decrementing and it will never satisfy this condition. So, in that case, when the condition is never satisfied, the body of loop is also never executed. Now, third error is placing a semicolon at the end of a for statement. As we discussed in our previous videos also, that semicolon is important in some statements, but it is not necessary in every statement. So you must put the semicolon only according to the need. If it is needed there, only then you should put. You should not put it everywhere, even where it is not needed. So here in this example also, we have put the semicolon after the for statement and it will show an error. Basically, it will not show an error, it will execute the statement, but the result that we want from this loop, we will not get the same result. Why? Because the body of the loop will be defined as empty. What is the meaning of this? The statements within the curly braces will be executed only once, because here the test condition will be tested once and then it will proceed to the uh, updation part, means count plus plus. But after it the condition is stopped because we have put the semicolon here. So it means that we have finished or terminated this statement here only. So it will not proceed to the body of the loop again. It will only execute it once and not as many times as we wanted. So this is why we should not put semicolon at the end of a for statement. Next is executing the loop either more or less times than the desired number of times. For example, the following loop iterates 4 times and not intended 5 times because it exits when count equal 5. Now, in this example, suppose we wanted to iterate the loop 5 times. So here we provided the value, initial value as 1 and this test condition value as 5. But the mistake that we have committed is we have provided the wrong relational operator. We have provided less than, whereas we must have provided less than or equal to, so that the loop could iterate 5 times. But now, since we have provided only less than operator, so what will it do? It will only execute it 4 times and not 5 times. So the correct way would be to write it count less than or equal to 5. Now, what are such errors called? Such errors are known as off by one errors. So, which errors are known as off by one errors? The errors or when we are going to execute the loop and it does not execute the same number of times as we wanted, means it is not executing the same as we desired. So these errors are known as off by one errors. Now last is using a loop index declared within the loop outside the loop. The scope of the variable count is only within the body of the loop. It is not visible outside the loop. Here you can see that we have written a statement out of the curly braces, but it will be an error. Why? Because any statement, any count variable, here we have taken the variable as count. So any variable will only have the scope inside the loop, not outside the loop. So that is why we should always use the statements inside the loop only, and we must not exit the loop and then write the statement because it will show an error. Now, arrays is a completely new topic for you, as till now you were studying about variables, but arrays we have not discussed till now. We have not used the word arrays anywhere. So it is basically a new topic, a new concept. So let us try to understand it. First of all, what are variables? We have already studied about them. They are placeholders for a single value. Means whenever you want to store one value, only and only one value, then you use variable. But what if you want to store more than one value? In that case, you cannot use a variable, because in this case you want to store more than one value, but variables, they store, or they are placeholders for only a single value. So for this purpose, we have introduced the concept of array. What are array? Array are variables, but special type of variables. How? Because they can hold more than one value. They can hold a list of values of the same type. Means arrays are those variables which will be acting as the placeholders for more than one value. And which type of values? The values of the same type. We are going to understand this through the example. It will be clear to you. First of all, we have taken example of variable. Here we want to store the marks of a student. So you can clearly see that here we are wanting that we have placeholder for only a one single value. And here the single value is marks of a student. So here we have used a variable and its name is marks obtained and its data type is double, and we have initialized it here. Here in the coding part, we have written the coding, and now you can see we have used this statement double marks obtained equal 346. This statement we have used, and to display this variable, this value in the output, we have used the system.out.println statement. So you can see here in the output, we have 346.0. Why point 0? Because here we have mentioned double. So that is why here point 0 is also written. Now, if we want to store or we want to add marks of another student, then in that case, what we will do with variable? So, to store the marks of another student, we have changed the variable marks obtained as follows. Here we have changed the value. You can see here that we have not done any editing. In the previous statement, double marks obtained is equal to 346. In this statement, we have not done any change. We have only added a new statement, that is marks obtained equal 144, because we have already defined, declared and initialized the variable, so we can directly change its value here. Now, what will be its output? Here we can see in the output window that the output is 144.0. But you might be wondering why the output is not containing the value 346.0, because 346 is also written here. We have not deleted it. So the basic reason behind this output only 144.0. The reason behind this is that we have used variable here. We have not declared the array. And as I have told you that we use variable as placeholder for only a single value. So here only one single value will be displayed, because this marks obtained is a variable and not an array. If we would have used array here instead of variable, then both the marks would be displayed. So by changing marks obtained, we have lost information about the first student's marks. Here you can see whenever we have changed the variable, so only the new value will be displayed, and we have lost the information about the previous value. So this is where we need array instead of variable. Now, you might say that, ma'am, instead of using array, we can also use two variables, for example, marks 1 and marks 2. In this way, we can store both the students' marks. You are actually right. We can use this method for storing marks of both the students. But what if there were 5 students in the class, and you would need to store the marks of those 5 students. And suppose if there were 15 students, then you would need 15 variables. Oh my god, that would be really complicated, wouldn't it be? Yes, it would be. So here you can see, if you are declaring 5 different variables for storing marks of 5 students, then you can see how long it is going. Will you declare 15 variables for 15 students? No. In my opinion, that would be complicated, and array is a much simpler method for this purpose. Let us see how. Now, Java provides a simpler way to store the marks of 5 students. Now we are going to see how we will store the marks of 5 students using array. We have defined the array here. You already know double, it's a data type, and marks here means the variable that we are going to use. At last we have put semicolon as we do in Java programming to end a statement. Now, why have we used these brackets here? The purpose of these brackets is to indicate the array, because marks is a variable. But how will the Java compiler know that this variable is not storing only one single value? It will be used for storing multiple values of the same data type, which is double. So for this purpose, we have used these brackets so that the Java compiler can know that we are using array instead of variable, and array can hold more than one value. So for this purpose, we have used these brackets, and this is how we define the array. Now to specify that the array can hold up to 5 marks. Now we have to specify that the array can hold up to 5 marks. For this purpose, we will specify the size of the array. Basically, size is a property of array. There are many properties of array like size, length. We will be discussing them. First of all, we are discussing the property size. And how do we specify the size? We will specify it using the keyword new as shown below. Here you can see this marks is the name of the variable, and here we have used the keyword new. What is it indicating? It is basically indicating that we are specifying the size of the array, and here in the brackets we will write that value. So here you can see in the coding part we have defined the array, and we have also specified the size of the array. Now in the previous coding we have used the different statement for defining array and specifying the size of the array, but we can also write these two statements in one statement. How? Let us see it. We have here defined the array, and here we have also specified the size of the array in one statement only. So this is how you can combine the two statements, declaring an array and specifying its size. Both of these you can combine in one statement also, and if you want you can also write them in different statements. Now, as you can see here, we have specified the size of the array as 5. So now we are going to talk about a very important concept that you should always remember, and generally a question is asked from this concept because many students get confused and sometimes they give wrong answer. So please understand it carefully and do not make any mistake in the questions. So what is the concept? The concept is that each element of the array is indexed by its position. What does it mean? It means that the array consists of elements. For example, here are arrays marks. So what are the elements of that array? These are marks 1, marks 0, marks 2, marks 3, marks 4. These are the elements of this array. And what is its size? Its size is 5. So whenever we want to give them position, the elements are to be given the position. So from where we will start? We will never start from 1. Please remember that. We will never start from 1. We will always start from 0, and till where we will continue? We will continue to the value n minus 1 for an array of size n. For example, here the size of our array was 5, means n is equal to 5. So what will be the value of the position? It will be from 0 to n minus 1. N minus 1 means 5 minus 1, which is 4. So what will be the position? They will be 0 to 4, means marks 0, marks 1, marks 2, marks 3 and marks 4. So this was the important concept from which many times question comes and students make mistake. So please remember that whenever you have to give position to the elements of the array, you will always start from 0 and continue it up to n minus 1 for an array of size n. We can initialize the array statically, that is at compile time as shown below. Now we can also initialize the array statically. Statically means we can give the values ourselves. For example, here you can see we have given the values as follows: double, marks, equal. Here we have given the 5 values and these are the 5 values we have written in the coding also. So here what we have done, we have initialized the array statically. Statically means at compile time. Now, the statement above creates an array of double of size 5 and elements are assigned with the numbers given in the curly braces. Components of an array may be assigned value using an assignment statement. Means in this statement which we had just written in the coding, in this statement we are assigning the values ourselves. We have given these 5 values from our side and these values will be assigned to the elements. And we have given 5 numbers, so of course the size is 5. And what is the data type? The data type is double. We have also specified the data type. Now components of an array may be assigned value using an assignment statement. Means it is not necessary that every time you are giving or assigning the values to the elements in this form, you can also assign values using an assignment statement. What is assignment statement? As we have already learnt about operators, we learnt about assignment operators also. So what do? Basically they assign the values. So the same task they are going to do here, and these type of statement which will use the assignment operators, they will be called as assignment statement. So here we have used our assignment statement int I is equal to 3, and then we have specified the value. Means for the value of I, which is 3, for that marks will be equal to 210.75. So this is how we are assigning the value using the assignment operator, which is equal to. To print all the marks, we can use a for loop, varying the loop index from 0 to 4. Now we want to print the marks. So for this purpose, we are going to use the for loop, and we have already studied about these loops very well in the previous videos. If you are confused about any loop, so you can watch those videos. Everything will be clear to you. Now we are proceeding with these commands. What is the command to print the loop index from 0 to 4? For int I is equal to 0, I less than 5, I plus plus. So can you just tell me what are these? Basically, this is the for statement, and these are the three parts that we had studied in for statement. This is the initial value, this is the condition, and this is the counter change value. After that we have given system.out.println statement. Why? Because we want to print the marks, and we know that for printing something we use the command system.out.println or system.out.print, and in the bracket we have written that what actually we want to print. So here what do we want to print? We want to print the marks, and since marks is a kind of array, so we have written it in the form of array. So here you can see in the coding part, we have initialized the variable, we have given the for loop statement, and we have also given the print statement also. So this was our coding. Now let us see what is its output. This is the output of the coding above, and you can clearly see that the marks are printed in the form that we wanted, because we had used the println statement, so all the marks are printed in new line, and also because we had used this change counter value I++, so not only one value remains the same, it keeps on changing till when? Till I less than 5. So till this condition is true, the value keeps changing, and we have initialized the value as 0. Now let us discuss about the length property of array. So what is length property? Basically it is the same thing as the size of the array, means whatever is the size of the array, it is called its length. So for the marks array that we had just used, the marks length will be 5. We indicate the length property in the following way. We just give the name of the array, then we put a dot and then length. This keyword is used to indicate that we are giving the length property of the array. So what will be the length of the marks array? It will be 5, because we have discussed that length property is the size of the array and the size of marks array was 5. So for this purpose, the length property of marks array will be 5. We can thus code the previous for loop to print all the elements of an array as. So we had just used the for command and print command for printing the marks. So here, instead of giving the size or the length, we can also write marks dot length. Why? Because length length property and the size of the array are the same thing. So wherever you are using the size of the array, you can also use the length property, and the effect, the output of that statement will be the same. There will be no change. Let us see. So here you can see we have just made a small change in the coding. We have just replaced the 5 with marks.length. Why? Because we have just studied that length property and size of the array are same thing. So for this purpose, we have changed this, and you can clearly see that there is no change in the output. The output is the same as the previous coding, and so we can say that the length property and the size of the array are same thing. The length property is the size of the array. If you want to purchase Class 12 IT Code 802 sample paper book, the links are given in the description.
So that was all for today. We'll meet you soon in the next video. Till then, bye bye.